When you think you have kids?
I'm not having kids.
What you mean you're not having kids?
I'm not having kids.
That's what you was born here to do.
No, I'm not.
Why would you not want to have kids?
Did he just say that's what you were born to do? Like a woman was just born to have kids? Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Why would I?
I'm asking you.
Why don't I want to have kids? I don't see any benefit.
For giving somebody life?
You have a kid and your life becomes about the kid. I want my life to be about me.
Oh, you selfish.
That's okay.
Ain't no woman single by choice. You're single because you failed at finding a suitable man. Because it's not up to them to decide if they're going to be a girlfriend or a wife. It's up to men. So stop lying to us talking about, oh, I'm single by choice. You're not single by choice. You're single because you failed at it.
A man is one of the easiest things to get. If it's getting late in the club and the lights are getting ready to come on, he'll take anything. If there's 5 men standing outside a gas station and a woman says, which one of you is coming home tonight? At least one of those men is going to raise his hand. It is so rare that men are actually approached and pursued by women that when they get it, they almost can never turn it down. You're talking about the same men that can't resist a corpse in a funeral home or a coma patient? The same men that can't resist a turkey in a turkey factory? Now all of a sudden they're the ones that are picky? No, women are the ones that are picky. It's not a male loneliness epidemic because women can't find a man. It's a male loneliness epidemic because women can't find a good man, and there is a difference. They can't find a man worth giving up their singlehood for. They can't find a man worth risking their pH balance. They can't find a man worth risking their mental health. They can't find a man who doesn't weaponize his incompetence, who's emotionally intelligent, who's kind, who's generous, who's caring, who's not asking her stupid questions like, what does she bring to a table? Because he knows what a woman brings to a man's life. Women are single by choice not because their picker is broken. It's because the pickings are slim.
It seems like the fastest way you can make a man angry is by you being single, happy, and child-free. For some reason, that triggers them so much. And that is exactly what we are going to be seeing in this video. We are going to be seeing why men hate single, child-free women. And of course, I'm not going to talk much in the beginning. Let's get right into it.
We just might be cooked. We got people saying shit like this and thinking that it makes sense. It is one thing to not have kids or to not want kids because you cannot afford it. It is a whole nother thing to try to dunk on niggas that do have kids. How are you going to say, not trying to brag, but let me brag about the fact that I don't have kids? Like, if you think about it for 1 second, your bloodline is ending with you. And you are over here laughing at people struggling to make it work when they have kids. But in the end, they're really winning. And low-key with posts like this, you can tell it's filled with cope. Because who the hell goes on the internet to say something like this if they didn't really want to have kids? You obviously do, but for whatever reason you can't or you didn't, and now you're trying to make other people feel bad. Call me crazy, but I think the main point of humans is to create more humans.
Behold, a day in the life of a childless woman. The point is to make you feel good about being an aging, deeply unlikable woman who never had kids. Narcissism, it makes you happy.
Feminists like Chelsea Handler, they've been lied to by their society forever. That you could be a girl boss and you can do anything a man can do, which everyone who's ever seen a woman back up a vehicle knows that's not true. Your womb resembles a dried up tumbleweed blowing down an old western town, and your
women are more than their wombs. But okay, let's talk about why these men care so much about women not having kids that they decide to throw tantrums online about it. Is it because the pretty little patriarchal world that suited you so well is crumbling around you? Is it because more and more women finally feel empowered enough to choose what their future is going to look like, but you men haven't worked out how to do the same? Is it because you feel like you're losing control, and the only way that your tiny little brain can figure out how to regain that control is to shame women back in their boxes? Well, guess what, sunshine? Generations of women fought so that we'd have the right to choose what we want to do with our lives, and your little tantrum ain't gonna change shit.
I really don't understand why a man would be so much bothered by a woman not wanting to have kids. Like, it's her body. Why are you so pressed? Like, it really doesn't make sense for them to come on the internet and literally crash out because some women don't want to have kids. Some women are choosing to stay single and child-free, Like, it actually doesn't make sense. Like, how is that your problem? Go interact with the women that are willing to have kids, because there are so many of them out there. Why are you pressed by the women that don't want to? And you know what's funny? When you see them on the internet complaining about women not wanting to have kids, you may think they love kids so much. You may think, oh my god, they are going to be the best fathers ever. But I'm sorry to break it to you, for the most part, that is not the case. Most of them are triggered by women not wanting to have kids because they know they won't be able to have control over those women. It is a control thing. Some of them already have kids with other women, and they are not even present in the lives of those kids. They are not taking care of those kids. But they are so much bothered when a woman says she doesn't want to have kids, because they know they have lost control over that woman. No man is going to have control over her. No man is going to be able to dictate her life. It is a control thing for the most part.
I have a real question I need help with. Why is it that every time a woman says, I am childless and I am happy, that men get so livid? Why? I recently made a video saying I'm 32 years young and childless and I'm happy and I'm jumping around and frolicking, in a garden, and men are like, you're gonna die old, your eggs are turning into dust, and da 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 da. And then the women are like, good for you. Even if they have children, they're like, great, good for you. What is that like? I find it to be hilarious because these men will never understand the gravity of what it is to have a child. They don't understand the fact that we risk our lives every time we reproduce, because there could be some kind of complication and it's the end of our existence as we know it. They don't understand the sacrifices that are made, because under most circumstances, we are the ones that take care of children when men decide to move on and date somebody younger, or whatever the hell they want to do. We are the primary caretakers in most instances. So yes, it is a huge responsibility that we are deciding to take on or not take on. But I still don't understand where in a man's mind, or should I say boy's mind, why does it trigger you? The fact that I'm not breeding, I'm not reproducing, I'm also not a wife. Like, until my finger gets heavy, there ain't no reproduction going on in his belly. What's so hard to understand about that? What the helly? For real.
I was watching this woman's video and she was saying that she's a woman over 30, and one question that she often gets asked by men is whether or not she has children and whether or not she wants any. And she always feels judged by those men when she says she doesn't have kids and doesn't want them in the future. They try to make her feel guilty or ashamed because she doesn't have that yearning, that desire to be a mom. She has no issue with children or anything. It's just the fact that she's already helped raise so many children, and she realizes how much work that being a mom actually entails. What I think is interesting about this is some of the main men who are always trying to devalue or discredit women that don't want children, that want to be child-free, not childless, child-free as a choice. Those men aren't the kind of men that want to be active fathers. They want to take credit for the child's successes. They want to post a child on their social media, but they don't want to be involved in the day-to-day job of raising a child. Like, so often some of those same men sound exactly like this.
And you consider yourself a pretty involved parent?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So I'm just going to ask you some questions about your son.
Right.
And just answer them to the best of your ability.
I will do. No problem.
Very good.
Yeah.
What is your son's birthday?
No, that's a good one. That's a really good one, because I don't know.
You really don't know his birthday?
No, I don't know his birthday.
What grade is your daughter going into?
9th grade.
What's the name of your daughter's school?
Ash Creek Elementary School?
No.
River Creek?
No.
Something Creek.
No.
What color are your daughter's eyes?
Brown.
All right, let's look. That is incorrect.
They're blue. I have a brown-eyed daughter, though.
Guys, oh my god, I can't. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. For you not to know your daughter's school, for you not to know the eye color of your child, and you go ahead to say, have a daughter who is brown-eyed, we are not talking about that daughter. We are talking about that daughter that is standing right next to you. You don't even know the color of her eyes, and you have father. Guys, I'm even out of words. Like, this is just beyond me. This is crazy. You don't know where your kid goes to school, and you call yourself a father, and then you wonder why women are choosing not to have kids with men, because most of them are just, I don't know what to call it, guys. Is this even incompetence? Because at this point, I don't think this is weaponized incompetence. I think it is just irresponsibility. It is just, I don't know what to call it, guys.
Some of these men know nothing about their own children, where they go to school, their birthday, nothing. They don't know if the child has a peanut allergy, nothing at all. But yet they're shaming women because they don't want to have kids, because they can already tell before they even have kids, a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on them. You can't shame women for not wanting to be a married single mom. And a lot of them, that's what they want from you. They want to have a child with you to slow you down, have a child with you to bond you to them. They want to have a child with women for so many reasons, but it's not always that they want to be a father. They don't want anything to do with the child and the day-to-day life of that child. They just want to be able to say that they're a dad.
Having kids, I just don't understand how you don't want your legacy to be carried on, bro. Like,
my legacy is me. My legacy is not my kids. My legacy is me. My legacy is my show. My legacy is Amani. My legacy is not my kids, because average people will be like, oh, I want a legacy, but you're average. You live like a peasant. So what is your legacy? Let's say that you are above average. You're a millionaire. You're brilliant. You've made all these contributions to society. Your kid could come out to be a crackhead. Your kids could come out to be a school shooter. And that's the legacy? That's your legacy? I don't think that legacies, people even really know what they mean, because your legacy starts with you. And if you don't have a legacy in your name, your kids ain't got shit to do with your legacy. People think that a legacy is just having kids. No, your legacy is what you set your kids up for. And a lot of people don't got two fucking pennies to rub together, but want to have kids and a legacy. What fucking legacy do you have? A legacy of debt? You are an everyday average citizen, sir.
So you consider, that's so selfish, bro.
So selfish. Actually, it's selfish to have kids, because you think that you're so great that you're going to pass on something great to your kids, to the world. You're not that great.
Wow, she actually ate him down. I'm not going to lie. Like, sis really ate him down.
I have a question for all the ladies out there. Who do you guys think men hate more? Child-free women or single mothers? I find that both those demographics get an ungodly amount of hate from men. And now I'm just really sitting here wondering, who do they hate more?
The truth is that when it comes to men, you just can't win. They are going to hate you for being a single mom. They are going to hate you for being child-free. They are going to hate you for being single. They are going to hate you for, dating around. Like, you just can't win. They are always going to find something to get triggered by when it comes to women. So just do you, I guess.
Myself, as a child-free woman, I have had men tell me that my life is meaningless. I could die today and nobody would miss me. I've had men tell me that my marriage isn't even a real marriage. It's just a situationship. I've had men tell me that I'm going to go to hell. A man once called me an evil witch who sacrifices children to the devil. Like, men do not like me. I also had a man once tell me that I'm a deadbeat to society because I'm not having children. I've also been told that I should just unalive myself. I've had men threatened to unalive me. They've said that they're going to come find where I live, come here and pew me because I'm just such a waste of space that I shouldn't even be alive. I've had grape threats against me from men. I've had men say that, again, they're going to find where I live, come here, grape me, and force me to be pregnant. And I've even been doxxed. Someone literally posted my address with threats to come here when my husband wasn't home, all because I'm child-free. And then I just got to thinking, do single mothers also experience kind of these things with men? Because honestly, it really seems that no matter what a woman does, some man somewhere is going to be mad about it. So let me know your thoughts, because I'm genuinely just really curious about this and see what you guys think.
This is for the child-free people that tell me that women are meaner to them, or that women are always the ones that say something about their decision to be child-free. Now, with all the chaperone chit-chat, I do find that mothers are quick to come to the defense of motherhood, like totally get that, even though my decision to be child-free isn't an attack on your motherhood, but whatever. But every time I post something about being child-free, right? Like, I took this from a video I just made yesterday. Not having kids because I know I don't want to come second doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me a self-aware person. You know who are the ones in my comments
telling me that I'm wrong and being absolutely rude. Men. Women are actually in my comments like, good for you, girl. I wish more people felt that way. So this was Jason. I blocked him. Then we have this guy, selfish, fixed it for you. This is his profile. You can see what he's all about. Like, you called me selfish, please. Then I have people like the real Mighty Mouse telling me that I'm gonna regret it one day. All you have is materialism that holds value to you that will only enrich and add limited value to your life. Does he not think that we have friends or community? And if you're wondering what his profile looks like, tells you everything you need to know about him. And don't forget that little cross in the corner. I just don't know why so many men care about my reproductive choices when they have no idea who I am. I mean, I do know it's all about control, but like, why waste your time?
And the truth is that if the roles were to be reversed, most of them wouldn't even be doing it. They can't handle half of the things that women handle. They don't even know the complications of labor. They don't know the things women go through in that labor room. All they know is to demand that they want to have kids. Do you know what a woman goes through during pregnancy, during labor, and even after pregnancy? Like, it's really a lot. You know, you couldn't even handle half of it. It is a lot. If a woman chooses not to take that path, respect her decision, because it's not like it's something you can just wake up one day and do. You know, it's just so easy. Women die in labor. Men act like popping out kids is just so easy and every woman must do it and, you know, just get it done and be over with it. It is not as easy as you think. Women really risk their lives just to give birth, and I only wish men would consider that and not pressure women into having kids if they don't want to.
Thing men hate more than women with children: single child-free women who don't center their lives around them. I mean, what else do I need to say? This comment said everything. What else do I need to say? And until they understand why this whole male loneliness epidemic is only going to get worse. It's going to get worse because if they can't see why more and more women don't want children, don't want marriage, don't want to live with a man, would rather be single, etc., etc., if they don't open their damn eyes, I actually kind of feel sorry for them. I mean, not enough to do something about it, and not enough to do the work for them, but just enough to make me feel like, hey, maybe you should do something about it before it's too late. I said this before, but a lot of these people still think it's 1950. And they're wondering why they don't have their 1950s housewife who cooks and cleans and stays barefoot and pregnant. When that was like over 70 years ago.
Never let a man change your mind about anything that you have decided for yourself, and specifically if you don't want to have children and a man wants you to have children, he pressures you to have children, do not give in. I read a recent Reddit post that was talking about this couple and this man regretting the fact that he like forced or manipulated his wife into having children. They had been together like 12 years, married for 6, had agreed very early on in their relationship that they wanted to be child free, and then once they were married, he for some reason around 30 started to pressure her and said that he wouldn't marry her unless she had children. So she agreed to one under circumstances that she wouldn't stay home and she would still have her career, very vibrant, flourishing, abundant career. She was the breadwinner in their relationship, and so she got pregnant with this one child, but it ended up being twins. She had a really traumatic pregnancy. They messed up with the epidural, so she is chronically disabled because of her pregnancy. She can no longer work to provide the finances that the family once was enjoying. They said that they like to travel, they like to experience life, they were very adventurous, and now she is very much bedridden and they don't have a relationship with their children, and he's just expressing his regret for forcing his wife to change her mind or pressuring her to change her mind. And I am someone that comes from the perspective, if you feel confident in the choices that you make, do not allow anyone to persuade you into doing something with your body that you do not want to do.
So when people approach me and they're like, why do you talk about being child-free so much? Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is literally why. So this was a case that actually happened last year. It's in the headlines again because he is getting ready to be sentenced. But a Texas woman was killed after refusing to have kids with her boyfriend. A 23-year-old was charged with murder for gunning down his girlfriend, Jade Alyssa Alvarez, who was only 22, and he admitted to the police that he killed her over an argument about how he wanted to have a child with her, but she did not. And as punishment for daring to want to control her own body, for the audacity of not wanting to have a child with this man, her life was taken. And this is by no means the first case of its kind. Not only are women who don't want children treated as less than, treated as something is wrong with us, but in many cases, we are also treated violently. Mainly because men do not believe us. When we say we don't want children, too many men then look at it as a challenge. Well, I could make you want kids. Well, I could convince you. And then inevitably, when we still have our beliefs and we still hold those thoughts, this can be the consequence. This is why we talk about it.
New research has confirmed that it's easier to want to raise children when you don't actually expect to be the one doing the raising.
Yes, when polled, men always report that they want children way more than women do. And it's because men having a child and women having a child are two completely different experiences in society, both physically and mentally, and honestly socially too. For starters, a lot of people don't know that the US has by far the highest mortality rate of all of the developing nations, and will I even survive giving birth isn't a thought that men even have to have. So let's finally talk about it, because I talk about it a lot, right, when I'm talking to boys and we finally get to that stage where we're talking about what we want further down the line, and they always say they want all of these kids. And I always make it clear that I'm very hesitant to have any kids at all. And not because I don't like kids, I actually do like kids to a decent degree, and if I could assume the position of the father societally, I'd have tons of kids, right?
That's right. Likewise, sis. Likewise, if I were to assume the role of the father, I would also love to have a dozen of kids, because I'm just going to sit around and, the woman is going to pop the kids. She's going to be the one to nurture the kids. And all I have to do, that's if I even do it, is go to work and, come back home and bring back a check. I choose when to participate in raising these kids. I choose when I want to help and when I don't. I would also gladly want to have a dozen of kids and get the title of a dad, that respect of a father, because I know at the end of the day, I don't have to deal with all the hard work.
Right? So the first 2 points I bring up is, one, I would only want to have kids if I had a partner who wanted to have kids like way more than me and genuinely be like way overly involved for a dad. Like they're really taking the reins on these kids. And 2, I start to bring up the statistics around pregnancy and giving birth that we're all vastly undereducated as a society, because that's like the very first step, right? Because again, the very first statistic that's super important to me is the US maternal mortality rate being extremely high in comparison to all these other industrialized nations. Because honestly, my family births out giants. I'm a good 4 inches shorter than my mother, and my brother was so large that he almost took her out after she gave birth to him. So one of the things that gets to weigh on my mind when making this decision is, how badly do I want to keep living? And interestingly enough, like a good portion of these deaths happen several days after giving birth, which is exactly what happened to my mother. So luckily she's still with us. We lived close enough to the hospital that they got her there in time. And yes, another thing we learned in this college course that I believe should be a requirement for everyone is that the number of mortality rate in the US is just hugely disproportionate, especially for Black women. Not only that, but in the last few years alone, the rate is skyrocketing. What is going on? We can't seem to figure it out either. And don't even get me started, because this is all stuff you just get to consider before you even have the child. Once the child's born, there's a completely different set of issues that the mother now gets to address that fathers never seem to think about before they enter into this.
As a woman who is 41, single, child-free, and happy, who makes content, I am constantly greeted with a barrage of comments from some men on the internet telling me that I am expired. These comments are not in any way original. I have literally seen them thousands and thousands of times under my videos. I find the notion that a human is expired while still alive fascinating, because I thought the only way someone expired is when they died, and even that is debatable depending on your belief system. What I can gather from these some men in the internet is that they believe that once a woman is no longer fertile, she has and is expired. All that tells me is the value system that these men have for women. Essentially, they value women based solely on their ability to be able to reproduce. And if you are somebody who walks through life really believing that a woman's only value is her fertility, I feel sorry for you, because you are missing out on so much. I wonder if these same men are telling their grandmas, their mothers, their partners, their sisters, their aunties, that they too are expired and of no use. And what do they do with these women in their lives at that point? Do they just put them outside, put them in the bin, put them on the reduced to clear shelf? What happens to all of these expired women? Where do they go? At 41, I am the most wise, beautiful, confident, and happy version of myself that I have ever been. I know my worth and value, and it is not determined by whether or not I am still fertile. Human beings, and yes, that includes women, are a whole universe of things. To try to reduce our value to nothing but our fertility seems like a play from some very insecure men on women who are simply enjoying their life, having a great time, and growing as they do. If as a woman you come across a man who believes this, my suggestion is run.
So I would say that we should care about declining fertility, not just because it's bad for our economy, but because we think babies are good. And we think babies are good because we're not sociopaths.
So is he trying to say that the women that don't want to have kids are sociopaths? They think babies are not good? You see the manipulation. They always try to find a way to guilt trip women. Oh, you don't want to have kids. That means you think babies are not good. You think kids are bad. You're a sociopath. Like, no. I could actually love kids and choose not to have them. Like, you don't have to label me as sociopath just because I choose to stay child-free.
Of course babies are good. I love babies. But people can still like babies and not have any of their own. And you're certainly not a sociopath just because you don't have children. Fortunately, Vance's weird views are not even winning praise from within his own party. Here's how one conservative pundit acknowledged his problem this week.
If you're trying to win suburban women and you call suburban women childless cat ladies, you're not going to convince them to come over to your side.
No question.
I think it's funny as a Republican, but I don't think a lot of suburban women that are on the fence are going to find it funny.
Yeah, it's not really funny.
A lot of men, not all men, a lot of men get upset when you are young, single, beautiful, and childless. Let's talk about it. Y'all be ready to villainize a lot of women because they don't have children and they're not planning to have children. And to me, it's like, that's not on everybody's bingo card. Y'all supposed to be protectors and providers, and a lot of y'all barely do that. And y'all be in the comments talking about choose better. And when women do choose better, it's a problem. And a lot of men know that even if you have children that are not theirs, it's still a way of control because they know you can't hop and bounce and do what you want to do when you want to do it on your time because you have children you have to look after. So it makes you more stable. It makes you stay in the same places. It makes you do the same things repetitively, knowing that you have to provide for your children. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because when you're a mom, you should do it to the fullest. You should want to be a great mom.
Baby trapping is real. Baby trapping is real. Some of them want you to have kids so that you can settle down. They feel like when you have kids, you won't be able to hang out as much as you used to. You won't be able to have as much fun as you used to. Like, it all comes down to the control. They want to control your life. They want you to settle down. And for some reason, they feel like once you have kids, you're not going to be as desirable as you were before you had kids to other men. Like, you've lost value. That is why they badly want women to have kids, because they think when a woman has kids, first of all, her value goes down and her lifestyle is of course going to be affected because now she has kids to take care of. She must settle down and, raise those kids. She's not going to be outside like she used to.
You should want to create a lifestyle for your children that's consistent. But when you don't have to be consistent in any routines because you don't have no kids, girl, men want to eat you alive. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. Oh, she's always outside. Well, baby, I can do that. I don't have no kids. I don't have no responsibilities. I can do what I want. Oh, you need to be doing this with your career. Baby, if I want to stay in a career where I'm only making enough money to support me, what's the problem? It's only me. And I think this applies to all women. Men do not like it. Like, I had an ex-boyfriend. He used to be so mad because when we'd get into arguments, like, I'd get on flights and like go out the country with my friends because it used to be like a thing. This is back like maybe 2-3 years ago. You could catch like a red eye to London. Like, I could leave Chicago like 8 p.m. at night and be at London at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I have a lot of friends in Europe, and like they'd be like, oh, Bianca, you can stay at my house, you can stay here, like just book your flight. And the flights used to be dirt cheap, so I used to go to Europe a lot. So we'd get in an argument. I'd get on the flight, you know, be in London. He would be pressed. Like, he'd wake up the next morning calling me, but baby, the phone's not going through because I'm in Europe. And my thing is this, I just want young women to understand, y'all don't have to subject yourself to anything. You can make enough money to support yourself, spend your money on what you want to spend your money on, pay your bills, and do you.
So recently I've been looking into like child-free people, or just women who are single, don't want a relationship, don't want kids, and I see so many men get like very, very angry about it. I think I know where the anger is coming from. So they're coming to the realization that they're not competing with another dude, they're not competing with any sort of like really anything. They're competing with nothing and facing the realization that they are less desirable than literally nothing. And I think that's where a lot of the rage comes from. Like a lot of the hatred for it and telling like, oh, you're gonna die alone. You're gonna da-da-da-da-da. I think it's more of like a projection, like, oh, I'm gonna die alone if you don't fucking settle and sink down for me. I think that's where it's coming from. My personal opinion on it, that's just my take. That's what I think.
No, but why is it always, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. I can't wait to...
Yeah, it's because men do not experience a similar level of mental stress, physical struggle, and societal expectations as women do when they have kids. And honestly, I would also avoid men who say they want kids with their whole reason being anything to do with just them. So they want kids because they want to continue their legacy. Because most of those men do not want to parent a child as much as they want to use being a parent as some form of status symbol. But anyway, let's just talk about the risks of pregnancy alone. And this is not just weight gain and morning sickness, but postpartum depression, pelvic floor dysfunction, hair loss, just to name some. And if you are a woman living in a state where you have complications in your pregnancy and cannot get the help that you need, if you know what I'm saying, you are risking your life. And this is also not including the invisible labor of running a household and a family that usually falls on women, especially if her partner is using weaponized incompetence to get out of his share of the workload. And yet, on the other hand, it is usually men who are getting praised for simply doing their part. So bringing their kids to school, putting their kids down to bed at night, helping their kids with a school project, or bringing them to a dentist appointment. So yeah, it makes sense that there are men who might be excited about this idea of being a dad when the stakes are lower, and along with the standards, the expectations, and the workload. But this is not me saying that it's not possible to find men who are both good partners and good dads, but it is unfair to think that the considerations for having kids are the same, even remotely, from women and men. And this is also why it is so important as women to choose a partner who brings value into your life and also consistently shows that they are willing to put in the effort to meet you in the middle and put in similar amounts of effort in anything you two do together, including having kids.
I saw this video of this man and woman on a podcast, and I can't find it or else I'd stitch it, but it's basically this guy saying like, oh, well, when do you want to have kids? And the woman's like, oh, like, I'm not having kids. I don't want them. And the man says something along the lines of, what do you mean you're not having kids? Like, that's literally what your purpose is. And that just really rubbed me the wrong way. So my husband and I don't want kids. We're not having any. And before we got married, we had a couple conversations about children, because you should not be marrying somebody if you're not on the same page about kids. I did a lot of reflecting because I was like, wait, do I want kids? And then I realized, for me personally, I did not want kids. And the reason I thought I wanted them was because society had ingrained it so much in my brain that that was like what I was supposed to be doing. Other side of that, I also went through this really rough time where I felt like there was something wrong with me as a woman and have this natural maternal instinct. And I felt bad about myself because I was like, why don't I want to have kids? Why don't I want to be a mother? Like, why don't I want to raise a child? And like, what's wrong with me that I'm not feeling these like feelings I'm supposed to naturally want to feel? Always going to be outside noise of people telling you what's best for you. But if you follow that, you'll never be happy. So at the end of the day, you just got to do what's best for you anyway. If you want to have kids, have them. If you don't want to have kids, don't have them. But just know that your sole purpose on this planet, if you're somebody who can reproduce, is not that.
And I feel like most women feel that way. Like, most women actually don't want to have kids. They don't want to get married, but for some reason they feel like they must, because that is what is expected of them. That is what their family expects of them. That is what their friends expect of them. Like, that is what society at large expects of them. But if it were to be up to them, they would actually not want to have kids. They would actually choose not to get married, but they go ahead and do it anyways because society pressure.
I find it very strange when people use the future man who might come along and change your mind as a gotcha when talking to child-free women about our decision not to have kids. And this is not just in casual conversation. If you're under 25 and you go to a doctor and ask them to tie your tubes or give you more permanent birth control solutions, they will refuse. Ultimately, it boils down to denying women health care in order to preserve the feelings and opinions of this future man that literally does not exist in their lives right now. It also assumes that women who are child-free aren't seeking out men who are child-free, which we certainly are. It would be extremely dangerous to date a man who wants children, especially if you are getting intimate with them. That is something that you must absolutely be aligned on, because in the event of an unwanted pregnancy, what would occur? Are you on the same page about the next steps to take there? Furthermore, as women start to talk more and more about their experiences being pregnant or having a child with a father who really isn't present, or who relegates them to being a single mom even though they're married, this threat of a future man coming along and changing your mind becomes less and less attractive, because chances are you're going to get the same kind of man that abandons his wife while pregnant or steps out on her while pregnant, etc. You know, all the stories that we keep hearing. To think that child-free women are going to just randomly take that chance is extremely strange, because a lot of the considerations that have gone into our decision are so multitudinous that this non-existent man really isn't going to move the needle for us. There is no man that will ever be able to change our mind about potentially getting in a life-threatening condition, which is what pregnancy is, in order to appease them or make them happy. There is no man on this planet that is worth that kind of risk. What will I gain from having that man's child? I might die in the process. I might be abandoned. He might step out on me. He might do a multitude of things that, once I'm in that position, cannot be undone. Trying to convince women to risk their lives just so that they can be chosen by somebody who may ultimately abandon them. And mind you, abandonment doesn't always look like leaving you alone. It might mean just being a very non-present father. It sounds a lot like telling women that if they don't do XYZ, they'll never be married. Okay, why is that a threat? This idea that women should relinquish their bodies so that men can have their dream of having children is absolutely predatory. And I've always found it extremely strange when cishet men proclaim that they really want children. They demand children. Who are you demanding this from? If you could spawn children on your own, then go ahead, sure, do it. But you need the cooperation of someone else. So who are you demanding it from, and how dare you? Especially when their desire for children is simply aesthetic. And unlike fatherhood, motherhood is a very thankless job. The way community rallies around single fathers is markedly different from how community rallies around single mothers. Especially because single motherhood is often seen as something that's the fault of the mother. She did something to drive that man away. Whereas single fatherhood is seen still as the fault of the mother. She ran away from her children. So either way, it's going to be your fault. Motherhood is seen as such a natural state of being for women that even medical providers will refuse to provide you the medical care you seek out because of their own paternalistic ideas about what will make your life worth it and what you might regret in a future that has yet to come to fruition. So please stop saying this to women. It's a very tired and misogynistic talking point.
I'm a mom of 4 kids, and something I cannot get over is the way that people try to convince women who are child-free by choice that they actually want kids. They'll say things like, oh, no, you say that now, but you'll see, you'll want them, or, oh, just wait, once you fall in love, you're gonna want kids. Doctors will even say, no, ma'am, I can't tie your tubes, you're too young, you're gonna change your mind. As if women don't know what they want for themselves. It is wild, and I often even see it in like dating and marriage. Men will date women who say they do not want kids, and then they think they can convince them to have kids, and they spend years trying to tell her that she does want kids. And then if they break her down, if they are successful in doing so, in getting her to have children with them, they are then shocked when she doesn't fully enjoy the experience of motherhood. It is crazy to me that women will say what they want, and people will tell them that that just can't possibly be true. That just can't be true. And it's crazy because society tells us that, as a woman in particular, our ultimate job is to be a mother. And so it is really difficult for many women to say, no, I don't want kids. I will never want kids. That is a difficult thing to say in this society, because people then look at you and say, well, then what are you good for? And women and men have value whether or not they have children and a family. You don't need kids to have value in our world. And honestly, as a parent, I always encourage people, like, if you don't think you want kids, definitely don't have them. You cannot go in this halfway. You're all the way in, right? So let's start listening to women. And if they say they don't want kids, believe them. Don't date them. Don't marry them, hoping you can change their mind. Don't tell them what to do with their reproductive organs. Just let them live their life. Let them be, please. Because women know what they want. They know what they want, and they are allowed to say that, and they are allowed to stick by that, and we should honor that.
You know, I find it funny that these men are triggered when women don't want to have kids, but they are the same men that can't even commit. They are the same men that say marriage is a bigger commitment than having kids. They are the same men that don't even take care of these kids. They weaponize incompetence. They act like they can't do anything. They can't do anything around the house. You had some of them say they don't even know when their kids were born. A father not knowing his kid's birthday. A father not knowing where his kids go to school. Like, which type of a father are you? You don't even know your kid's school. What if something happens to your kid? You don't even know where they go to school. Like, really? And you wonder why more women are choosing not to have kids with you. It's really not worth it. If you have a kid with a man, be ready for the possibility of being a single mother. Even if you're married, for some reason, you are going to be the primary parent. You're the one that is going to take on the bigger load because they just don't care. I feel like most of them want to be fathers so they can get that respect in society, so they can continue their bloodline, so they can feel man enough in their peers. But it's really not that they want these kids. Most of them don't even spend time with these kids, but they claim they badly want to have kids. When you have kids as a woman, those kids are yours. They are yours.
For yourself, because men don't like kids.
I will stitch these ladies' videos until we get sense as women. Men like the idea of having children, but not the responsibility that comes with having kids, because that's why you'll see most fathers are only playing with the kids when they're not crying and they are, they have been fed and they are happy and they are healthy and they're not sick, because naturally men are not naturals. That's not how they were created. And this idea of us forcing ourselves to have kids because a man told you to have kids is very stupid, because at the end of the day, that man is not going to be there for you. He will be there physically, like you'll see him physically. But the emotional, the mental, and the psychological stress that comes with having a child, you should be the one who's ready for those kind of consequences. Because at the end of the day, even if you have a supportive husband, he'll wake up in the middle of the night to go and feed the baby and support you through that. Yes, but at the end of the day, if he decides to detach, he will detach and forget like he even had kids or he's a father. And I have seen this a lot, where people disappear for years, where they don't even know, they know they have a child somewhere, but they don't know what the child is eating, they don't know how the child is going to school, they don't even know anything about the child. And these women keep forcing these men to be fathers to these children, yet they like the idea that they are father, they like the idea that somebody has their name, but they don't like the responsibility of having children. And that's what I keep saying. Having kids, the responsibility of having children lies 100% on us women. So I do not want to hear a woman say it's an accident. It's only an accident when a contraception fails. And sometimes when it fails and it's early enough, you have options. Be a parent by choice, but don't be forced by society, religion, and all these kind of things going on around you. Yet they're not going to feed your child when you're hungry, when the child is hungry. They're not going to help you take care of the child or even take the child to hospital when it's sick. So the best thing you can do for yourself as a woman is for you to decide that you want a child, and whether this man is in your life or not, you are going to raise this child 100%. And God bless the heavens if he decides to be present and active. But naturally, men are not naturals. They are not. That's why you see in cases where a wife gets sick, most cases some men will abandon the wife and marry another one, because that's not who they are. So as women, let's learn to to assess these kind of consequences that come with childbearing, and not just having kids left, right, and center. I said what I said.
Why is it that men get inordinately upset when they see women living their best lives, single and child-free? I've seen more than one video at this point where men are making responses to women posting about their free weekends and what they do on their weekends because they're young and they don't have kids and they're just enjoying their life and they're sleeping in and cooking and enjoying their hobbies. And men feeling some kind of need to respond to these things with, oh, well, her life is so sad. She doesn't even realize how sad her life is because she doesn't have a husband and she doesn't have kids. It's really pathetic. It's just like men clearly need to feel needed and wanted by women. And when they see that women are living their lives happily and that they don't need men and they don't need children to be happy, it gets them really upset. It gets them really in their feelings. So I think it's really men that need women, and it's not the other way around. Men are actually really bad at forming friendships, and their own friends are actually likelier to stab them in the back, sleep with their girlfriends, and even kill them. Men need to learn how to form relationships, not even just romantic relationships, but also friendships, They need to learn how to cultivate their relationships, and they also need to learn how to treat women and how to respect women so that they don't end up alone and unhappy. Because the reality is that it's men who are ending up alone and unhappy, it's not women. And a lot of the times it's because they played all the women that wanted to be with them when they were younger, or they didn't treat their children well. So they're ending up alone in nursing homes at the age of like 45, having had a heart attack, and there's nobody around that cares about them. So these men on the internet who keep on telling women, oh, you're gonna die alone with 30 cats and you're gonna be single and unhappy, that's just them projecting their own future and their own fears onto women.
Ladies, isn't it funny that men say that single mothers have no value and then turn around and say that those of us women who don't have kids have no value because we have not yet produced a child? It's almost like they devalue all of us so that we compete against one another instead of realizing who the real problem is, which is them. Just something to think about. The only way that we can improve our conditions is by having radical empathy for one another as women and by really banding together and loving on and taking care of one another. Because when you really think about it, your friends have likely done way more for you than any man that you've ever dated before. And without expecting anything in return, just because they love you. Lean into your friendships and your relationships with other women, ladies, and do not believe any of the lies that men tell in order to make us compete with one another.
So guys, tell me what you think about this topic in the comment section below, and yeah, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a video. Till next time, I remain Lisa. Peace and love. I love you. Bye.